Hi, welcome to my channel Tech with Kashif. Today we are reviewing an underrated monster in budget segment of the smartphones. The phone goes by the name CMF by Nothing Phone 1. With 6 GB of RAM and 128 GB of memory storage, it's a pretty solid device.
The CMF Phone 1 is not afraid of its Nothing roots. On the contrary, as we mentioned, Nothing views the CMF Phone 1 as another entryway into the broader Nothing ecosystem. Hence, it makes perfect sense that the CMF Phone 1 would be running Nothing OS. In this particular case, there is Nothing OS 2.6 on top of Android 14. Nothing promises the CMF Phone 1 will receive 2 years of major Android updates and 3 years of security patches. That's decent but not that great as far as software support on modern Android devices goes.
As you can see, it's a slim box, which means there is no charging adapter included in the box, although USB Type-C to Type-C cable is included along with the SIM ejector tool. The CMF Phone 1 is based on the MediaTek Dimensity 7300 chipset. It's largely based on the older Dimensity 7050 but with a twist. It's manufactured using a 4 nanometers manufacturing process, which should give it up to 25% better power efficiency than its 6 nanometers predecessor. The CPU department has 4 by 2.5 GHz Cortex A78 cores and 4 by 2.0 GHz Cortex A55 cores, while the GPU is the Mali G615. Interestingly enough, despite having an AMOLED display, the CMF Phone 1 seems to be lacking an always-on display feature. An interesting choice, considering even the Nothing Phone 2 has the AOD option. The CMF Phone 1 has a trio of memory variants: 6 GB, 128 GB, 8 GB, 128 GB and 8 GB, 256 GB. The first one seems exclusive to India, while the last one is unavailable in India. We managed to tell through speed testing that the storage chips are UFS 3.1. Storage is expandable via micro SD. Our review unit is an 6 GB, 128 GB one. If you are interested in scores, then in Geekbench scores the multi-core score of Dimensity 7300 is 2920 and the single core score is 1028. If you talk about ANTUTU score, 536,089 is the answer. It supports 33 watt charging. Battery capacity is 5000 and in my testing it can easily last you a full day on a single charge. One of the best video playbacks on a smartphone. The Dimensity 7300 isn't a particularly hot running chip, and the CMF Phone 1 handles its heat output masterfully. The device has an elaborate liquid cooling system comprising a heat pipe and graphite sheets on both the front and back for better thermal conductivity. The phone's thermal throttling curve is gentle and controlled without any major stutters and slowdowns. Plus, the phone's surface never gets more than lukewarm. There's only one rear camera and it is a 1/1.95 sensor with 0.8 micrometers individual pixels. It sits behind an f1.8 lens with nothing too fancy like OIS or advanced autofocus. The other camera on the rear of the phone is a complementary depth sensor meant to aid in portrait shots. It uses a 2 megapixels SmartSens SC202 sensor with 1/5.1 size and 1.75 micrometers pixels. Nothing OS continues to be very clean in terms of feature customization and thus near to AOSP. However, at the same time, it is heavily visually customized with a very distinct look and feel. Nothing's signature dot matrix font and overall aesthetic surrounding it permeate the UI. You get a whole slew of custom widgets, 24 in total, from everything from clocks and calendars to contacts and weather, so you can retain that consistent nothing look. The notification shade and quick toggles are also as much AOSP as they are nothing. With Nothing OS 2.5, the top two big quick toggle areas were changed from circles to squares with rounded corners. That's what we get in 2.6 as well. Another relatively new addition to Nothing OS is the custom icon pack that, expectedly, is monochrome and has a consistent look. Nothing OS has a monochrome UI option for those wanting an even more exclusive, unique experience. It is part of the Do Not Disturb and bedtime routines, but you can set it up for you however you prefer. The monochrome UI is a display option, and it doesn't affect the UI exactly, so if you take a screenshot or a picture, it will still be colorful. YouTube Music is the default music player. It doesn't have Dolby Atmos or any other custom audio features. Audio through the mono speaker is decent, but not loud. Audio through the headphones is good as well. At first glance, I have no issues whatsoever with the 6.7-inch, 1084 by 2412 AMOLED display. It shines at the same brilliance as the Samsung Galaxy S24 Fi I most recently reviewed, delivering lush colors that make the screen pop whenever I load a video on YouTube. It also helps that it features a 120Hz adaptive refresh rate that makes all of the animations with the software look buttery smooth. When it comes to brightness, this AMOLED panel manages to muster up a respectable peak of 1129 nits. That's undeniably brighter than other budget phones I've tested, so it's strong enough for me to see it clearly on a sunny day. The 50 megapixels camera can get the job done with most things, but I find that the end results tend to look a bit more low contrast. The highlights get crushed in the areas where there's strong light, resulting in those areas coming out overexposed. Dynamic range performance is a struggle for the CMF Phone 1, especially when it's a high contrast scene like the shots I captured. Selfies from its 16 megapixels camera struggle when there's contrasting light sources.